You're paying $20 a month for Perplexity Pro, but are you getting the max out of it? Today, we're going to cut out the marketing and show you how to squeeze real-world value from your subscription. And I'm not going to be doing it alone. I have my friend Nathan, who's a power user. He's going to help us go through every feature, and we'll tell you how you can use it to its max potential. Let's begin. Before we dive in, Nathan, I'm super excited to have you here with me. I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and how long have you been using Perplexity for?
Thank you for the invitation, Sash. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to talk about Perplexity, which is a tool for me I'm using since so long now. You know about the AI Fellowship.
Yeah.
We are part of, and I started using Perplexity like at least 10 months before.
Wow.
Yeah, I was already a heavy user of Perplexity before even joining the fellowship, which is something very important for me because I used it so much in research, etc. Before the research tool is the deep research coming, etc. I was using it like every day. I stopped my ChatGPT subscription to continue using only Perplexity. I'm a heavy user.
That's fantastic. So you've been using it. So we met each other at the Perplexity AI Business Fellowship, which has started in the past 4 months. So you've been a Perplexity user for over a year.
Yeah, more than a year now, yeah.
Fantastic. So is it your go-to for everything you do now across all devices?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Fantastic.
I'm sales and I do many research about market, about my customers, about my competitors, and having Perplexity doing this research for me is really, cool.
So I think I started using it about December in 2024, and I found out about it on social media and I started using it, and I found myself slowly just using it for internet search. I stopped kind of using my regular modes of internet search. And then when deep research came about, and as I was building Rift, I use Perplexity a lot for market research like you do in sales. And now it's my go-to app. I have ChatGPT. I use it for certain things because it has my context. Now there's one thing we'll talk about towards the end of the video, which is Comet. And Comet has completely changed the way I work. So that has now taken over all my browsers on both my machines. So we'll talk about that as well. Fantastic, Nathan. I'm so glad to have you. And I'm sure we'll be able to show our viewers real world use cases where everybody can derive value of this subscription. Honestly, I think this subscription being $20 a month is so valuable. You can do so much with it. Doesn't matter what job or work function you're in. Doesn't matter how familiar you are with AI tools, you can get started with it, and in a few days you'll see how much value you can get out of it. So let's begin with the basics. Perplexity is an answer engine. It's great in internet search, and it provides pro search option, which is you can ask it anything. It looks up information on the web, it compiles it and shows it to you. Now, the basic internet search is available in the free subscription as well, and Pro gives you more limits, so you can search as much as you want. Now, one thing I love about Perplexity is if you go under your personalization options, you can set up who you are, and that it has some context about how you work. And then you can add this personalization instruction right here where it says introduce yourself, and you can even be very verbose, tell it who you are, how you work, and how you kind of search. Now, if you go under the account, in the preferences, you can choose your model as well. Now, if you use ChatGPT, you have access to OpenAI's model. If you use Anthropic, you have access to Anthropic's model. But now, if you use Perplexity, you can set it to best, which means based on your task or what you have asked, it's going to choose the best model for you. Or you can choose from this list of models. And you have your basic general purpose models, which Sonar is from Perplexity itself, Claude Sonnet is from Anthropic, GPT 4.1 is from OpenAI, Gemini 2.5 Pro is from Google, and then you've got the reasoning models. This is fantastic. Now, Nathan just mentioned that it used to be in preferences. Now, when you just start a new discussion or tab, you can choose the model right here. So, Nathan, how do you use the model selector? Is that something you change in your day-to-day workflow, switch between models, or just run it with the best model?
For basic questions, choose the best and that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, depending on the task I'm asking, I'm looking for, I will select rather Sonnet 4.0 or GPT 4.1.
4.1.
These are the both I'm using, because for Gemini, I have also a Gemini subscription, so I'm using directly on Gemini. But
Fantastic.
for Perplexity, when I don't know which tool will be better, which model will be better, I'll just use best.
I do the same, because if you choose it to the best model, it generally routes it to the best possible model for basic queries. Sometimes when I'm doing deeper research and I need to analyze something, I will switch it to a reasoning model where I either choose O3 or Claude Sonnet 4.0 thinking and ask it very specific, deeper questions to analyze. And then I can switch it back to the best or a general purpose model. Now that's a trick you can use with any of your subscriptions. If you use Anthropic or OpenAI as well, switching between reasoning models and general purpose models gives you the ability to kind of ask deeper questions for problem solving or more complex queries, and then switch back to a general purpose model. As you've noticed, we're using Comet. I'm using Comet. And the interface on Comet, or if you just go to perplexity.ai, is the same. And here you have Pro Search. Pro Search is always chosen as a default in your Pro subscription. You've got the option to choose deep research, and you've got the option to choose lab. General purpose querying is really useful. You can ask it anything. For example, if I want to ask it, how do I use Perplexity Labs? The way Perplexity's answer engine works is it searches the web, it searches across different websites, and it collates the information from you, and it gives you source links. So this is very valuable, and that's kind of the default mode of Perplexity, where if you're doing any kind of market research, like Nathan is in sales, he has to do market research, and he needs to find information from credible sources. So having the source links right there cited is super useful, and this has been with Perplexity since the beginning. Next up, we're going to talk about Spaces. Spaces is a game changer if you're doing long form work. Now think about Spaces as your own project folder where you can save threads, you can upload files, and build context. For example, I was working on a specific project about tracking adoption of AI across different industries. So when you work on something like that, which needs deep research, and you just save context as you go, you're going to have multiple threads, you're going to ask multiple questions, and then you want to save some of that information. So Spaces is really useful for that kind of persistent long form work. So Nathan, do you use Spaces in your daily workflows?
Yeah, a lot. I will just pick a different use case than yours, because I'm doing all the same thing because we are in the same area. I also use it for my LinkedIn posts. I'm having like a small agent in Space. He's feeded with all my LinkedIn posts, my own posts, my tones, all these jokes. And I have the prompt inside it, the instructions to tell him exactly how to write my post. Sometimes I put like 3 words in my question, like let's say GPT-5. I will say just GPT-5. Since my prompt is so much detailed, even with these 3 words, it will write a whole post, and then it will also write a prompt to generate an image that I generate already also in the same space.
Yes. All right. So right now we're in the Spaces section of the Perplexity UI.
Yeah. All of these are my spaces.
Fantastic. So each space is a project folder. You have specific instructions. So when you have to continue work on that particular project or thought process, you go back into that space and start asking questions.
Yep, exactly. Like, for example, this one. It's like a small agent I'm sharing with another person.
So Nathan is showing here, you can share spaces with other people, which means you can collaborate on it. So you have other Perplexity users, you can share the space, multiple people can sort of access that. If you didn't know this, Perplexity has the ability to generate images through Imagen models. So Nathan, show us how you use Spaces to generate images in context.
Yeah, which is something very, very interesting, because it will so mix my LinkedIn posts. As I said, I'm using also Space to create LinkedIn posts. Here in the setting, you will see, you are an influencer on LinkedIn, specialize in AI, etc., etc., etc. Here's how you will write the post. You will start by, reading everything in my examples and looking for all information about the context, the subject I want to talk about. And then you will write the core of the post with some emojis, with humor, etc. And then you will write a prompt to generate an AI image, which is maybe humoristic or philosophic or any, it depends on the style of the post. So all the images will be related to the post itself. And then I gave him some instruction about how to write the post. French, we have two kind of way of speaking. We will call it vouvoiement or tutoiement, which is tu. In English, it's you or you, but in French, we have vous and tu. Tu is for familiar or for friends, and vous it's for people you don't know or elder people, etc.
It's more formal versus more casual. Yes.
Exactly. So I'm asking to write the post in a casual way. And then the format of the response. So title, the post, the content of the post, and then the image, the title of the image, the prompt itself. And for sure, my style, writing style, my post style, this PDF. So it's a bunch of example of LinkedIn posts I already posted, which had good interaction. So I use them as examples.
Wow. So you take your most high performing post, you've had that in a PDF, you upload that to the space, and then you have these specific instructions. And then you just go in and ask it to write a post?
Yeah, exactly. Generally, I will use Claude Sonnet 4.0 or GPT 4.1. So both have a very good writing style.
Yes. Yes.
Let's use Sonnet for this one. And we need a subject. What AI? Do you have any idea?
How about the OpenAI OSS models that were released last week?
I already wrote something
about that. Oh, you did? Right. You did a post on the OpenAI OSS model.
Let's do it again.
Or let's do about Opus 4.1, which was released a couple of days ago.
Opus 4.1. Let's maybe give him just another thing to have a better orientation for.
How does it help with better coding?
Okay, coding.
All right.
Let's go. It will be in French again. Sorry for that.
No, that's okay. It's fascinating to see. You can go back between languages and you've got it set up in a way that it's in your native language, but you can ask it to, wow, there it goes. It's writing a post.
Yeah, it's saying, oh la la, Anthropic is just launching Claude Opus 4.0. I thought that code was like very hard to understand, but now with AI, it's really easy, even for those who don't know anything. And then he puts some information, etc. We will just translate it in the same space. And then you have generate an image. Also, I asked the post in French, and the prompt for generating an image in English, because image generation is better in English than in French.
Right. This is fantastic. So you basically gave it one line which says, Claude Opus, tell me how it's better with coding. It looked at all your instructions, made kind of a humorous post with emojis, because social media loves emojis.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So you've got an image prompt also in English. So what do you do with the image prompt?
I just take this, copy, paste, in the same discussion.
Okay.
And then the way this prompt was written is pushing Perplexity to generate directly the image without saying nothing, just generating the image.
So you didn't even have to change the model. You just used your standard chat window, pasted the prompt. Perplexity knows it's an image prompt. It starts creating an image for you.
Exactly. And then it will understand it, what's about the forms, etc. And since in the personalization part, I had already chosen my image generator, which is image 1, GPT image 1. So it's generating a GPT image 1.
Right.
That's why it takes a little bit much more time than Flux.
Right.
But the quality is better. That's why I'm using image 1.
Okay. So Imagen 1 as well as Flux, both models are available in Perplexity for image generation.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And look at that. That's pretty cool, dude.
I will just copy paste.
That's great. I think you just gave away a secret to creating LinkedIn posts, because I see all your posts every time, and I always go hit translate and read your posts on LinkedIn. And I'm like, these are cool posts, so I know how to do it now. That's fantastic.
Exactly. I will copy this. I'll copy this one here. I'll paste it. I will download the image. It took like 2 minutes from the idea of the post till the LinkedIn post.
And as you create more posts, all these threads are a part of the spaces, so it maintains that context, which is fantastic because it just builds and gets better. It's fantastic, man. This is such a cool secret. You have your own sort of LinkedIn agent who's creating cool posts for you, including an image. The best part about using some of this stuff to write posts, social media content, is it understands how algorithms work and it gives
Yeah.
you great performing posts. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Nathan. Next up is Perplexity Labs. Labs is a super powerful tool which is available to our Perplexity Pro users. What is Labs? It's kind of, you can generate mini apps with it. You can ask it deep questions. It has the ability to collate information from multiple sources, create dashboards, present visuals, and it does deep research while doing all that. So how do I use Labs? I use Labs to do a lot of deep research. Now, one thing about me is I am a visual learner, which means looking at pictures, graphs to understand complicated data, that's easier for me. So I would use Labs to create dashboards, dig deeper into data, and create apps, mini apps or dashboards for me to help me learn. For example, as you can see on the screen, I wanted to research the adoption of generative AI across major industry verticals in the past 3 years. So I prepared a prompt. It's not super complicated. It's a fairly straightforward prompt where I'm asking it to research adoption of generative AI across major industry verticals. I gave it a time range of 3 years for businesses of all sizes. And I asked it to identify key adoption drivers and blockers because I wanted to know what's really working, what's not working. And I asked it to research and include factual data to support the analysis. And I also asked it to analyze the impact of automation on these industries and create a research-driven projection of what jobs can be affected by automation. So I'm asking it to do multiple things in the same prompt. And I hit go. Now, typically when you have a complicated research query like that, Labs will take a few minutes to create or answer. In this case, it took about 5 or 6 minutes. So let's look at what I got. It starts off by giving me an intro of how generative AI adoption across major industry verticals has been. It gives me an executive summary, which is super awesome because I can just look at it. It gives me statistics. And remember, we talked about citing the source links, so it cites the data sources that it's used to find these statistics here. I can hover over it, I can click on these links and view all the stats. And then it tells me that the economic impact is substantial, with companies reporting average ROI of $1.41 for every dollar invested in AI. That's a 40% ROI on daily investment. Now, to find that kind of information just by myself, I would have to dig through multiple websites. I would have to, it takes a lot of time. This took me 6 minutes. And here it prepares a graph which tells me industry-wide AI versus generative AI adoption. And then I scroll further, it gives me adoption patterns and drivers. It tells me software development acceleration, AI coding assistants have increased developer productivity by 26%. So it's actually giving me a very holistic view of AI adoption across these industries, backed by research, all in 6 minutes. So if you move further, it tells me healthcare is cautious. Obviously, being a regulated and critical industry, adoption of AI in healthcare is moving slow, but it's still moving. It shows 65% AI adoption rates, which is fascinating information. And then manufacturing. And then it comes to the last query. The last part of that query was industries, what industries are at highest risk of AI-driven job automation? Transportation, manufacturing, retail being the top, which comes obvious because manufacturing industry is where robotics and automation are starting to sort of automate a lot of jobs. And this is fantastic because imagine I had to go in and do a presentation on something that needs deep research like this. I can spend just a few minutes finding this information, creating a dashboard in Labs, and then I'm prepared. And the best part about it is now this is pretty comprehensive research, right? It's given me a lot of information. Now, if I need to break this information down, right? It's a lot of complicated stuff. Now, if I want to break this information down or I want to find very specific information, I can just ask it a follow-up. I don't have to choose the Labs option. I let it be. I choose the Pro Search option. Give me the specifics of robotic automation in manufacturing, which jobs are at risk? So I created a mini app. I've got visuals with labs, and then I can just ask it follow-up questions. I can ask it to summarize. It's very, very useful. And if I go into assets, it will give you a list of all the assets. You can download all, and that'll be a zip file. If you go to sources, it tells you all the sources that it used. So imagine if you're doing academic research, you can verify credibility of all the sources that labs used, and it tells you the steps it took to get to that query. So if you go back to that assistant and you see a lot of, you see all the information that it has for you, you can export the answer. You can export it into a PDF, you can export it into Markdown docx, or you can export it into a Perplexity page as well. Perplexity pages, it basically creates like a web page for it. You can share it, make it public. So if this is valuable research that you want to share with your friends, single click, you're ready to go. Last but not the least, Perplexity's Chrome Challenger, Comet. Comet has been on waitlist. It is the rage. Everybody's trying to find invite codes. And now they're rolling out Perplexity Comet to pro users. So if you're a pro user who's been using Perplexity for months, keep an eye out in your email to get a Comet invite. Nathan and I were lucky to get Comet invite a few weeks ago. We all kind of had to hustle a little to figure out how to get a Comet invite. I got a Comet invite and I actually got Comet, Dia, and Felu. All three invites I got the same day. So I posted the first YouTube video comparing that. Since then, so it's been about 3 weeks I've been using Comet. Comet is the default browser on both of my daily driver machines, and it has completely changed the way I work. Why? I think the first thing is Comet automatically captured all the context of my Perplexity Pro conversation. So all those threads were there. It knows how I work. As I'm browsing with it, it understands what I'm looking for. It's building the context. I can go into Comet, fire up a tab, an assistant, and change the model, use all these Perplexity features that are already there. I don't have to leave Comet. That's my experience. What has your experience been?
Yeah, Comet. Before Comet, I was using Brave. I think you know Brave. When I installed Comet and I even shared the video. Yeah, for audience, they can check this video because it was like hypnotizing.
It was. It made a very cool video.
The installation experience was really very cool with this music, cosmic music, etc. And then it asked me to bring all my history, my favorite links, etc. from Brave to Comet. Just click on the button and voila. The way they made it will push you stop using other browser because you don't need to use others. Use only Comet. And this is the thing. I'm using Comet as my default browser since 3 weeks, 1 month, maybe. Yeah. And I'm using it daily.
Yeah. And you made a great point. So Comet is built on the Chromium platform. So if you're on any Chromium browser or Chrome, it's super simple to import everything during the installation process. Once you're set up, you made a great point, Nathan. It's built in a way that you don't need to leave Comet. It gets all your context. So if you're a Perplexity user, you're there, it has all your context, and it's just, you're set up in a minute and you're ready to go. It's so crazy that once you switch your default browser, you don't go back. It's so natural, it's so intuitive, and it captures context about you as you go. It's an AI native agentic browser, so it can do actions on your behalf. It's a fantastic workflow tool. It's not just browsing, it's so much more than browsing. So show us something how you use Comet in your daily workflow.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. As I said, it took everything I had already on Brave, like everything. So I can directly go from my preferred LLMs, etc., all my folders,
Yep.
And I can ask directly Perplexity here. I don't even need to go to the Perplexity web app or the Perplexity app on the Windows app. Just right directly in a new tab. Just new tab. You have directly Perplexity, which is amazing.
It's fantastic. One quick point to make. When you use Perplexity within Comet, it stores your thread history. So you go to your Perplexity app on your mobile, it's there. So you can switch devices and continue.
Totally, yes. It's really user friendly, and very optimized for me.
Yes.
Something that I'm doing with Perplexity is I'm splitting with screen. For example, I will be on LinkedIn here, and in this part, go to Navin because I like this tool too, and then I will use this one. I will ask him use Navin to create a presentation about let's say Opus 4.1.
Yep.
Starting using my Navin page here,
Yes.
and then from my side I will continue navigating on LinkedIn, doing the other things, trying to maybe also find some things about Opus, for some posts about Opus 4.0, seeing what's happening on LinkedIn, what people are saying, and then leaving Comet doing things.
What you're doing here on the window on the right is you're basically asking the Comet assistant to use another agent, which is Navin, to create something. And that is super powerful. So you can sort of, if you give it the right prompt, it can navigate the website, it can use elements on the UI and start creating things. Of course, it depends on what you ask it, what you're trying to do, where it might work better sometimes, and it takes a little bit of trial and error.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm using it like my assistant, take care of other activities while I'm doing things from my side.
Right.
And then since I'm splitting my screen, I can see what Comet is doing, and I keep an eye on what he's doing, and I continue using also my tool in the other side. And the Navin is now creating the slides, the presentation about Opus, and I will continue on LinkedIn from my side, and that's it. This is another use case I'm having, for example.
So this is great when you have split screen. You can get the assistant to do something for you, execute certain workflows while you're, browsing or whatever you need to do. Now on the right window, you have Comet Assistant navigating and using another agent to create something. Now you can be very verbose. Now you used a very simple prompt, but you can be very verbose and get more complicated things done. So let's just try something really quick. So if I go to Amazon, all right, now I pull up the assistant right here and it automatically pulls up. It has the context of the tab. It automatically pulls up some recommended sort of tasks or recommended prompts you can do. I can ask it, navigate Amazon and find me the DJI Mini mic. So I'm asking it to find a very specific thing on Amazon. When the blue light lights up, you know that it's starting to navigate the website. So let me just expand the screen here. It typed in the search query in the search window, and it's basically searching for you. And you can use this to do a lot of things, just like Nathan used it to fire up the Navin agent to work through it. I am using it for shopping. You can use it to navigate all sorts of websites. I was testing it to see if it can navigate unknown websites. I asked it to navigate a portal, for example, the Azure portal or the make.com portal. It was able to click through and find elements. So now it found the mic. Can you add it to the cart? This might not work because I'm not logged into Amazon, but it still will try to add it and the login window should pop up. So you can see it's scrolling. It's the Perplexity assistant. It's working through step by step. Sometimes when it gets stuck, it stops, it reasons, and there it's adding it. It has a pop-up window. When it added it to the cart, it says, do you want to add protection? So it's pausing to make a decision on that, which is fascinating. Boom, it's added to the cart. It's really useful how something simple like finding a product on Amazon and adding it to something more complicated by using it or navigating an unknown portal to do certain things or to access an agent or a software portal or a SaaS application. You can use it to do a lot of things. Now, one of the things, like Nathan mentioned, when you fire up a new tab, you've got the Perplexity interface here. If you click over here, you've got all your threads and context of the threads. You can go to spaces. So it's all right there. You don't need to leave Comet. And it's a completely new, different way of working. I want to talk about shortcuts. Nathan, have you tried out shortcuts yet?
Not yet. Not yet, but I've seen some use cases, very interesting use cases from Stephanie, for example. She shared some very cool use cases. So, but yeah, please tell me more.
Our colleague and friend Stephanie shared some cool use cases on LinkedIn as well. Shout out to Stephanie. It is super useful to create shortcuts to prompts. That's basically what it is. So if you just click on the chat interface in a tab, you get the create shortcut button here. So if you click on create shortcut, I'm going to call it, let's say, calendar summary. All right. And then you get to give it instructions. So think about this as a system prompt. So I'm going to ask it, review my calendar for today and give me a summary of who I am meeting, what is on the task list. That's it. I'm going to keep it simple. And you can choose the mode here as well. So you can go complex and you can ask it to create labs for you, or you can ask it to do deep research. I'm just going to use basic search. You can choose the model. And if you wanted to use particular sources, for example, academic research, finance, etc., or you can add your own connectors. So you can use these shortcuts to invoke more complicated things in a very quick way. So I'm just going to leave it here and save it. In the chat tab in a new comment, I type /, I get a list of all my shortcuts as well as shortcuts Perplexity recommends. For example, I can look up trending on social, evaluating a certain type of deal, or teach me Comet. I'm going to use the calendar summary. It types in the same prompt, so it's like a shortcut to your prompt. You don't have to specify any additional information, and it gives me a quick summary of my calendar. So it tells me that I have a meeting with Nathan, which I'm doing right now, and it tells me another meeting that I have, and it's super easy to get started. So now if I want to try another shortcut, I want to see how it's going to teach me Comet. So I'm going to say teach me Comet, and it already has a prompt. So if you're new to Comet, you find a way to score an invite, you use the teach me Comet shortcut, and it's going to give you a guide or step-by-step tutorial to sort of how to use Comet in the browser, starting from installation, recent feature updates, what are the cool features that have been introduced, and so on and so forth. So you can create an entire library of shortcuts that make your workflow easier. The other thing I use, now this is a Perplexity feature, it's not necessarily a Comet feature, is tasks. Now, tasks are scheduled tasks. So you can create a task, basically you can schedule a prompt. Now, if you schedule a prompt, it runs on a certain time. For example, if you wanted to capture the latest news from 4 or 5 big tech companies that you want to understand before your day starts. So you can use that to say, create a prompt. What is the latest from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Gemini, and Microsoft Copilot in the past 48 hours? I can hit go. Then it asks me, when can I schedule it? So I'm going to run it daily and save it. It's going to run every morning at 8 a.m. Maybe I'll make it 24 hours. So it searches every day. So what happens is it schedules a prompt and it runs every morning. And if you have your email connected to Perplexity, you get an email. You can click on that email and then it will bring you to the Perplexity app. Or if you're on a computer with Comet as a default browser, you'll see what the response to that prompt is. So tasks are a great way of scheduling prompts in your workflow, and shortcuts are a great way of creating a library of functions that you can invoke very quickly. All right. Now, one thing I love about Perplexity, now I don't know, Nathan, if you use it, I use the finance tab a lot. You get access to financial data and a dashboard, which is almost as good or as good as paid subscriptions to something like a Bloomberg or a Morningstar, or if you're paying for FactSet. That is institutional grade tools, right? Institutional grade tools for financial analysis are very expensive. Bloomberg costs $1,000 a month or probably more right now. If you subscribe to Morningstar or FactSet, you have to have access to data along with these tools. But with Perplexity, it's right here. For example, how do I use it? So when you go to US markets, you get a broad overview of what's going on in the US market. If I click on crypto, gives me the top L1 blockchains, gives me a leaderboard of pricing. If you're a trader, a financial analyst, or a macro analyst, you want to see what's up for the earnings season, it's all here. Earnings calendar. So if I scroll through the days, on Friday, I see their earnings call schedule. One of my favorite features of Perplexity Finance is the screener. Stock screeners are available on multiple paid tools. You have free screeners available as well, but this is an AI native screener. What does that mean? I can ask it questions. let's say find me stock that are over $2 trillion in valuation, list them in ascending order of P. So it should find me stocks of companies that are over $2 trillion in valuation and organize them based on their PE ratio. There we go. That's pretty accurate. So the better your question is always, the better answer you get. So Perplexity Finance is probably one of my favorite features in Perplexity. If you do market research or you want to follow stocks, you're an investor or trader, this is fantastic. Now, let's summarize, Nathan, all the features we talked about that you get in a $20 per month subscription. You get Pro Search, where you can search the web, right? Now, free users also get Pro Search, but you have limits to your daily how many questions you can ask. You get Deep Research, and you flip on Deep Research, it does very detailed academic grade research for you. You get Labs, where you can create your own mini apps and create dashboards. And you can do visual analysis. You get Spaces. Now, Nathan shows you how he uses Spaces to organize his information. So valuable when you're doing long form work or creating agents to create LinkedIn posts. Now, Nathan, with Spaces, how long have you been using Spaces?
To be honest, since they publish it.
And now that you have Spaces in Comet, it just changes everything because you can now feed more context into your Spaces directly from Comet. You can add threads.
Yeah, at the end, the major limit here, it's our creativity. It's not the tool because it's incredible.
You make such a good point. The limits are your imagination. And if you can think about creative ways of using this $20 per month subscription, you can get incredible value out of it. You have a financial analyst. You can have a research analyst. You have a shopping concierge. You can have a LinkedIn agent. You can have a social media generator. You can use it to automate yourself in 20 different ways. So I'm going to summarize again. We started with the Pro Search, which is basic internet search, a completely new way of searching information. You've got Deep Research that allows you to do academic grade research on complex topics. You've got Spaces where you can organize your information for long form work. You can create different spaces that you can go back to. You can use it to generate images like Nathan does for his very cool LinkedIn post. Then you've got Labs where you can create mini apps, visual representations of data that can help you learn quickly and prepare you for your meetings, for your job, and just continue your research. And then finally, the beast is Comet that brings all of this together. If you're a Perplexity user and you get an access invite to Comet and you just start using Comet, just like Nathan mentioned, you don't need to get out of it. It captures all your context, it gets better. You have access to all your spaces, all your threads, all your shortcuts in Comet. And then more and more you use it, it just gets better and better. And then finally, if you're like me that wants quick ways of executing daily workflows, you can use tasks and shortcuts to create your own library of shortcuts. You can even share it with your friends. And I did see a post from Arvind Srinivas. I think he talked about monetizing shortcuts. I don't know how that will work, but that will just open up a phenomenal market of agents, monetizing shortcuts, sharing shortcuts. I hope this was useful to understand the power a $20 per month subscription like Perplexity Pro has. Like Nathan mentioned, your imagination is the only limit. If you can figure out creative ways, and I hope the features we showed you today help you do so, you can get a lot out of it. Follow us and give us a subscribe because we have a lot more cool content coming. Until next time, keep asking and stay curious.